everyone, and welcome to our first edition of The Journey with Rueben and Allyson.
Yo, yo.
We're glad you joined us today, and we're excited about this new venture. And for those of you who didn't see our introductory video, we're Rueben and Allyson Spate, and we are here to just spread some good news about marriage and to encourage those of you who are out there in social media land or online land, just to let you know that marriage can work. And we're here to just share some things with you. In our first episode, we were kind of in a meeting the other day and just chatting it up, and there came a point in the meeting where I said, you know what, I can't stand you. And so
and she meant it.
Yeah,
she meant every word of that. But it's cool because sometimes I feel the same way. I can't stand you either, but it's all right. That's just a natural part. And I'm pretty sure you that are married or that are potentially going to get married, you're going to experience this sooner or later.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that doesn't have to do anything with your love for them or your appreciation of them, but when you spend time together all the time, and you're together at home and at church and with family, there's times simply you just get tired of one another. Yeah, you kind of get on one another's nerves. So yeah, we thought it'd be best to speak on this today. To start with episode 1 is that sometimes I can't stand you.
I just can't stand you sometimes.
Can't stand you. Cool. Yeah.
You can't stand me, I can't stand you.
Right.
It's just real like that.
We're establishing that point.
Right. So, like you said, it's a natural part of being married. And as time progresses, the first phases of marriage is just love and bliss. And, we're just glad to be together and free in Christ and, just loving one another. And then there is going to come a point at some time in your marriage that you just hit this roadblock. But then there has to be a strategy in place. You have to have a plan. And we hope that we can go ahead and give you a plan of action to let you know these times are coming, but you can be ready for it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what we can do to make sure that when we make it to this place of I can't stand you, really I can't stand you today, like get away from me today.
Yeah, that moment.
We have some things in place. So let's get started.
Number one, you have to communicate. You got to talk about it. I know that becomes the cliche when people are going through troubles or disagreements in marriage, or you hit those moments where you can't stand each other. You got to talk about it. And this is not texting. This is not trying to send subliminal message. This is not so much of just nonverbal communication. You have to open your mouth. You got to have a dialogue, because truly there's no way you're really going to handle it unless you just get it out and you put it on the table.
Right.
And that's the importance of the communication, because what I found out in marriage over these 20 plus years of marriage is that what starts out as a small disagreement can become a major problem.
Right.
It can start out as a disagreement on supper. Where are we going to eat today? We're going to stop by one of these fast food restaurants and you're going to cook, and then she may say I'm going to do this, and I may not agree with it, and so I say my little part and it doesn't settle right with her,
and I say if you don't like it, you can do it yourself, that kind of stuff.
Right. She'll say that type of stuff, which doesn't settle well with me, to be honest. And so then I say, well, I thought that you would see about the family. I thought, as being a woman of God, that you would make sure that your family's seen about, and that we have a nice hot meal. And so I don't know if that sets it off.
And that's when I say, you know what? I can't stand you sometimes. Right then and there. But we work our way back around. You know what? We got to eat. At some point, we got to eat. So let's just come to an agreement on how we're going to do this thing so that we can move forward and feed the children and feed ourselves and have a good rest of the evening as a family. So, and there sometimes you got to think about it. I can't really talk to him right now about it because I'm still a little bit, hot and bothered about it. So at the right time, and as my mom might say, in the cool of the evening, when things have kind of calmed down some, when you can have your attitude right, when you can have your approach right, because if you go in that thing heated and talking all, explosive, it's going to explode. So you got to do it the right way. So, even in the midst of all those things, we just got to make sure we approach each other the right way.
And it needs to be face to face. It needs to be that time where you sit and you look at one another eye to eye, without the other distractions, without all these other things going on, and just really put it out there and just be honest about how you feel, honest how the conversation made you feel, or the disagreement, or whatever the case may be. Because what I found out, a lot of times we try to avoid those things, thinking, you know, if we don't address it, simply, you know, sooner or later will work itself out. But that's not the case. It's probably going to get bigger. It's going to get worse. And from a man's perspective, many times it's tough for us, and maybe it's a sense of pride, maybe it's our masculinity, maybe it's feeling that we're weak if we say, hey, what you said bothered me, or I feel this way about the discussion that we had, or we had a disagreement on this or that. And so many times we're not open to share how we feel, and when we do share, sometimes we may try to say the right things, but sometimes it comes out the wrong way because we don't know how to adequately express our feelings. So face to face, eye to eye, respect for one another, I found that to be one of the best ways for us to really put that thing on the table and work through it. Right.
And so we were talking earlier about how we think it's important for us to take a time out from everything and from everybody, and just to unplug and just to see about ourselves. So that's like he was saying with the whole face-to-face thing, that's our time to get together to say, you know what, babe, let's talk about this week. Let's talk about how things have gone. You know, we need to kill this thing before it festers and gets even bigger. Like you said, sweeping things under the rug. After a while, your rug's gonna have a big lump in it because so many things are swept under it. So eventually, it's gonna become obvious, even though you think it's covered up. Still got to sweep those things out and kind of talk about it. So we got to have a purpose conversation, you know, and a strategy that we like to try to implement is, first off, let's talk about what I appreciate about you. You know, the good things that you've done this week. Thanks so much for picking up the kids this week. Thanks so much on the day that you had so many things to do. You tried to take care of me because I was working late, and you picked up supper. So when I got home, like the other day, was wonderful because he cooked the other day. He cooked the other day. That
I did wonderful. That. I cooked. Yeah. Me.
Yeah.
Cooked the full meal.
Smoke alarms went off, but hey.
Yeah, we opened the doors because the smoke alarm, and the kids were wondering what the alarm was all about. But this guy put it down in the kitchen.
He did it.
Yeah, what did I do? Oh my God, I can't remember what meal it was. Oh, it was smoked pork chops and some other things, some of my other secret recipes. But you know, maybe that'll be at another show.
But anyway, I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much. You know.
Yeah, and that feels good. I mean, honestly, to just say those little words of appreciation, because listen, in the world, we deal with so much on our jobs and just every day, and it's good to come home to a place of sanity and a place of peace and have those compliments and encourage one another, because that helps put that stuff on the table, and everybody wants to feel appreciated. And so those words of appreciation, but in the midst of the words of appreciation, we must also take time to share maybe things that didn't go so well that week. For instance, if you know something may have happened and that day then it didn't settle right with me, we need to talk about it then. Don't go to sleep on that stuff. Don't take it to bed with you, because I found out it's there again, you're going to be thinking about it, you're going to be dreaming about it, and you're going to wake up and the situation is only going to be worse. So go ahead and talk about, you know, I didn't like this or I didn't like that, not being judgmental, and definitely not throwing shade. Because throwing shade in the conversation only makes it worse. Because if I come at you, we're attacking you or being judgmental of you, then it's not gonna, you're not gonna receive it right, because I didn't deliver it right. So that's got to be important.
So I think an effective way of communicating is to make sure that that person feels heard. And you know, it's not just a back and forth. You said something, well, if you wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have done that kind of thing. But hey, even if you have to just take some notes or something, listen, get your own strategy of what works for you. Take a couple of notes and say, you know, I'm not gonna bust in right here. I know why I did that, but I'm just gonna hold it. Let him speak, and then, you know, we come back around and say, well, now I'd like to justify why that particular thing happened that way, so that it's not a back and forth argument that's just gonna escalate and become even worse. So just take your time, you know. Like he said, no shade trees, don't be throwing at each other or whatever, you know, but just let it just kind of happen. You talk, I'll give my reasons, and then flip it around. Now it's my turn to share with you some things that kind of bother me this week. And then from that point, we make a plan as to what we want to do the next week.
That's right.
To show love, and not even the next week, but immediately. Sometimes it's something that we need to go ahead and forgive each other for. release it and let it go.
Let it go.
So that we don't have to continue to walk around and people, you know, they may pick up on it. I know our children may pick up on it in our homes that something's different. Something's up with mom and dad, but we got to sweep those things, put those things behind us. Forgive each other, release it, and go on and make a productive marriage and a productive family in your home.
Very much so. So I encourage you, you know, those that are watching this video, make sure you take times, husband and wives, even those that are looking to be married one day, take that time out.
Yeah.
You got to have that time where you talk to one another, where you communicate, where you celebrate one another, where you also talk about the issues that are bothering you, and go ahead and get that stuff handled, because it will fester. It's kind of like an open wound, and if you don't really deal with that wound, it has the potential to become infected. It has the potential to get worse, and many times we're guilty of just putting a band-aid over it and hoping that it's going to heal, but we really got to get down to that thing and deal with it. So take that time out, communicate, because we made a plan. Forever is going to be the destination that we're headed to. So we got to do whatever we got to do, because we really believe marriage will work, but you got to work it. And so that's what it's all about.
And the whole time out thing, you can also look at it another way, that you take time out for each other. We take a time out to communicate, but we also take time out for us to take care of each other and to, you know, have those moments where we just go away and, you know, love on each other, or have like my mama said, ice cream at Dairy Queen. It doesn't matter. Just some kind of thing that's special between us. Take a time out, get away from everything, and just take time to appreciate one another. So we encourage you to do that this week. You know, that may be something new for you and your spouse. It may not be, but just don't ever forget to appreciate them for what they do. You know, there's a lot of probably things that people think about that are cons in your marriage or negatives in your marriage, but aim to find the positive things. Aim to find the things that you can appreciate your spouse for, so that you can become closer. So.
Yeah, put out of your mind. I mean, if we go into this saying there again, as we said, I think in the opening episode, the opening intro, get divorce out of your mind. Don't let that even be an option, because if you make that an option, then that's always in the back of your mind. If this doesn't work, then that's always my option. But always look at, since we're going to be together, we might as well do what we got to do to make this work, and go ahead and kill that thing before it gets bigger, before it becomes a giant now that you got to try to take down, versus something that was small that you could have handled in the beginning. So yeah, I may get on your nerves, and sometimes you can't stand me, but I ain't going nowhere.
So I can't stand you sometimes, but I love you all the time.
All the time.
No matter what.
Good. Yeah, no matter what. So vice versa. So we hope this has encouraged somebody. We hope that you were blessed by this, and we look to do more videos. We ask that if this has meant anything to you, or if you like this, or just hit that subscribe button and click that like button. We really want to build this, and we really want to help out as many people as we can. So we do appreciate each and every one of you that sent in questions thus far. It has been an amazing response already. For those that have sent in questions and things of that nature, and for those that have made comments, we really appreciate it, because once again, we just want to be transparent in hopes that we can help somebody else. We don't have the perfect marriage. Every day we're working on it, trying to make it better, but that's what it's all about. It is a process. It is a journey. It is going from where we are now to a destination
to forever.
To forever. I like that. Point A to forever.
So once again, thank you for joining us on tonight for our first episode of The Journey with Rueben and Allyson. Be blessed.
Bless you.